Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is our daily experiment. Every evening we give you the news for 10 minutes. There's no opinion, there's no debate. It's just what happened today in an almost deadpan, unemotional way to make it uninteresting, but that's the way news is supposed to be. Let's get straight to it. This is our first story for today. A UK court has ruled that fugitive Nirav Modi could be extradited to India to face trial here, stating that a prima facie case has been established against him and that he has a case to answer to in India. Nirav Modi and his uncle Mehul Choksi, you'll remember, are accused of routing transactions of about 13,600 crore rupees using fraudulent letters of undertaking of Punjab National Bank. Both of them left India in the first week of January 2018, weeks before the scam was revealed. Nirav Modi was arrested on an extradition warrant on the 19th of March 2019. Now, in the arguments that were made by Nirav Modi's lawyer, it was said that he suffers from severe depression. The extradition judge ruled that such symptoms are not unusual for a man in his circumstances. He further ruled that Nirav Modi would be given adequate medical treatment and mental health care in jail. Now, prison conditions at the Barrack 12 of Arthur Road Jail in Mumbai, where Nirav Modi is likely to be held, have been in focus in this trial as well. The Indian government has submitted an updated video recording of the cell, highlighting that it meets all human rights requirement of natural light and ventilation. The central government has opposed same-sex marriage in the Delhi High Court, saying that it is not comparable with the Indian family unit concept. The centre opposed several petitions seeking recognition and registration of same-sex marriages in the country. It ruled out that living together as partners or having a sexual relationship by same-sex individuals is not comparable to the Indian family unit concept of husband, wife and children. The central government also said that despite the decriminalization of Section 377 by the Supreme Court, petitioners cannot claim a fundamental right for same-sex marriage under the laws of this country. The government said that marriage in India is not just a matter between individuals, but a solemn institution between a biological man and a biological woman. To give you some context, of course, same-sex couples have approached the Delhi High Court appealing that they be allowed to marry in India. As it stands right now, they are not allowed to marry, not allowed to adopt children, and also they have no property rights of their partners either. In a big story coming out today, the IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has unveiled new policies for social media, for streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and for digital news that you access on the internet. According to these new guidelines, offensive posts will need to be removed within 24 hours and platforms will have to appoint a chief complaint officer. Platforms will also have to provide information about the person who first posted the content. The new guidelines will need to be implemented within 3 months. Social media platforms are required to disclose the first point of origin of what the government is calling a mischievous tweet or message when asked to do so either by a court order or any government authority. Now, this really brings into question WhatsApp and Signal's end-to-end encryption. Now, there should also be in relation to sovereignty, integrity of India, public order, relations with foreign states, sexual explicit content, all of that normally form exceptions, I beg your pardon, to freedom of speech in India were listed as exceptions on the internet as well. There will further be a 3-tier mechanism for regulation of social media. For OTT, which is your streaming platforms, they should have self-classification of content, which is 13 plus, 16 plus and A for adult categories. And this mechanism of parental lock and ensuring compliance that children don't see any of the content that's not actually targeted or categorized for them. There have also been extensive rules for digital news as well. We have a video put up for you explaining what those rules are. You can access that on our channel. Moving on now to reports on COVID numbers. Maharashtra continues to worry 8,807 new COVID cases and 80 deaths in the last 24 hours. Now, this is sharply higher than Tuesday, where we saw 6,218 new infections. Mumbai has witnessed a 3-month high in COVID cases. It's reported 1,161 cases. Now, this is the highest it's been in 120 days, and that's worrying. In Maharashtra's Wasim district, 229 students and 4 teachers in one school have tested positive for COVID, and that school has now been declared a containment zone. Also, with the rising cases of COVID, several states have now mandated COVID-19 negative test reports for entry in the state borders. People travelling to Delhi from Maharashtra, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Punjab will have to show a negative test report starting Saturday to the 15th of March. Maharashtra requires a negative report for arrivals from Kerala, Goa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and Delhi. In Assam, all passengers coming to the state, irrespective of their mode of travel, will need to conduct a swab or an antigen test on arrival. Similarly, all passengers travelling to Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, irrespective of their mode of transport, will require negative tests. Meanwhile, the ministry announced that 6 people in India now have been infected with the South African variant, against 4 last week. However, the number of patients infected with the UK and the Brazil variant has not changed. In some relief for students in Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has announced that students of classes 9, 10 and 11 will be promoted to the next class without having to answer their exams. All students in classes 9, 10 and 11 academic year 2021 will be declared to have passed full year exams with no general exams, considering the request from parents and the opinion of academics, says the Chief Minister E. Palaniswamy. Schools in Tamil Nadu reopened for classes 10 to 12 in January, nearly 10 months after they closed. LPG, domestic gas cylinder prices, have been increased for the 3rd time in 1 month. They've been increased by 25 rupees today, and as per this 3rd hike, the domestic cylinder in Delhi now costs 794 rupees. Of course, the price is different in each state because of local taxes as well. LPG cylinders were increased by 25 rupees on the 4th of February, 50 rupees on the 15th of February, and again 25 rupees today. The government, of course, would argue that this is in reaction to the global prices of crude. An update on the so-called toolkit case. The Delhi court has granted protection from arrest for Shantanu Muluk, accused in that case, until the 9th of March. Muluk, along with Disha Ravi and Nikita Jacob, were booked for alleged sedition, criminal conspiracy and intent to provoke rioting because of that toolkit that the Delhi police was investigating. Muluk and Jacob are currently on transit bail, and Disha Ravi was granted bail, as you know, on Tuesday after 9 days in custody. Moving on to a case that is just as worrying, if not more. This is the case of Nodeep Kaur. A report by the Government Medical College and Hospital in Chandigarh said that Mazdoor Adhikar Sangathan President Shiv Kumar, who is in police custody, had multiple severe injuries. This includes at least 2 fractures in his left hand and his right foot, which were caused with blunt objects or weapons. Injuries are reportedly more than 2 weeks old. Now, Nodeep Kaur was arrested on the 16th, I beg your pardon, Shiv Kumar was arrested on the 16th of January, 4 days after co-accused Nodeep Kaur was picked up. In his report, Kumar has made allegations about police brutality. He said, and I quote, "The police tied both his feet, lay him on the ground, hit him on the soles of his feet. He was made to lie on the ground with both legs straight, and a metal pipe was placed on his thigh and rolled over his thigh by 2 people. He was also not allowed to sleep for 3 days." Now, psychiatric evaluation report, in that same report, said he appeared sad and distressed with occasional crying spells. He expressed preoccupation with his current situation and reportedly showed anxiety symptoms, flashbacks of brutality, nightmares, feelings of loneliness, and uncertainty about the future. The next hearing on this case is the 16th of March. The All India Transport Welfare Association have called for a Bharat Bandh tomorrow, that's the 26th of February, to protest the rising fuels, the GST and e-way bill. Now, they've also called for a Chakka Jam. All commercial markets across the country will remain closed as over 40,000 traders association are taking part in the same bandh. Transport is likely to be hit as Transporters Association have asked all transport companies to park their cars and their vehicles between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. as a symbolic protest. Dharnas will be held nationwide. Their demands right now is to review the GST policy system and simplify the tax slabs on their industry, to reduce petrol and diesel prices and scrap the e-way bill. An update on the farmers' protest following farmer leader Rakesh Tikayat's announcement of marching to Parliament with 40 lakh tractors to increase the pressure on the central government. Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Tomar has said the government is ready for a discussion on the three farm laws, provided the farmers respond to the government's offer to put the laws on hold for a year and a half and work out the differences during that time with a joint committee. And ahead of the assembly elections in Assam Governor Jagdish Mukhi on Wednesday declared the state as a disturbed area for 6 months beginning the 27th of February. This is an order as an extension of a similar move in August last year when the state was declared a disturbed area for 6 months. There is no official comment yet on the reason for this extension. However, as per a report in the Hindustan Times, government officials cited attacks on security forces in the northeast and recovery of large amounts of arms and ammunition in several parts of Assam as reasons for the move. Assam goes to polls in April or May this year. Moving on to some business news right now. Facebook plans to invest $1 billion in the news industry. Facebook on Wednesday pledged to invest $1 billion in the news industry over the next 3 years. This comes after the high-profile standoff that Facebook had with the Australian government. Remember, Facebook on Tuesday restored Australian news pages, ending an unprecedented week-long blackout after the company had wrung out some concessions from the government over a proposed law. So the government of Australia basically said that companies like Facebook will have to actually pay money to news organizations whenever an article of that news organization is shared on Facebook. Facebook, of course, did not agree to that and instead blacked out all news organizations from Australia from Facebook for an entire week. After that, an arrangement was agreed upon between the government and Facebook, and now Facebook has pledged to invest $1 billion in news. In international news right now, incidentally also involving Facebook, Facebook has banned Myanmar's military and its affiliates from platforms after deciding the risks allowing Myanmar's military on Facebook and Instagram are too great. The military used Facebook, which has over 54 million users in the country, to boost its voter fraud claims on its main page and was banned for breaching Facebook's guidelines. Facebook says the events that followed the coup, including deadly violence, have forced this move. On to sports news right now. Mumbai recorded the highest ever 50-over total in India, driven by captain Prithvi Shaw's unbeaten 227 of 152 deliveries and Surya Kumar Yadav's 58-ball 133. Mumbai put up a total of 457 for 4 against Puducherry. This is the highest ever 50-over total made on Indian soil. And finally, in a dose of interesting news coming from the US, more Americans identify as LGBTQ than ever before. Now, this is a Gallup poll that reports a jump from 4.5% to 5.6% of Americans who identify as LGBTQI since 2017. Now, this puts the estimate of adult LGBTQI people in the country at about 18 million. Gen Z, which is ages 18 to 23, account for almost 16% of LGBTQI American adults, and that's really the cohort that's increasing that entire group. Now, while the rising numbers reflect more LGBTQI people feeling comfortable enough to come out, experts believe that equality legislation have also allowed people to self-identify. Well, that's a wrap on the news today. Remember to leave us your feedback and tell us what we can do to improve our offering for you. We'll be back again tomorrow to give you more news and updates. For now, thanks for watching and good night.